what can you share about the potential risks associated with restaking, especially in terms of systemic risk and increased leverage on the Ethereum blockchain?
Yeah, so I think that the risk of EigenLayer is something that comes to mind immediately when people learn about EigenLayer the first time. I think the first thought is, why didn't I think of that? And the second thought is like, this is why I didn't think about that. There's obviously all this risk, but I think that it's often misunderstood as something that poses systemic risk as opposed to sort of one-off risk, where EigenLayer does not introduce any sort of domino effect between different protocols that are operating on EigenLayer. That means that in the event of a slashing condition being invoked, that may result in a decrease in security. But that decrease in security is never going to trigger some other sort of slashing event on the basis of that decrease in security. So the thing to watch with EigenLayer, and this is true with literally any amount of staking, is exactly to what risks are my assets subject. If you go and restake with 10 different protocols, maybe 9 of those protocols are safe in the sense that operators are doing a good job. The slashing conditions are well defined. They're not like likely to be triggered. But if that 10th AVS has a slashing condition that an operator doesn't manage well, maybe they miss an upgrade or something like that, and you suffer a slashing, then that's something that you could have potentially anticipated, at least as a risk, beforehand. And so so essentially the fact that the stake is not ever actually changing hands, you're not actually like, it's not like a loan or a bond where if you were to use a piece of collateral twice or 3 times, then that would subject your system to some kind of domino effect risk. Unlike that, with restaking, the money is always held in escrow on EigenLayer's contracts, and there's no risk of this sort of like total collapse scenario that I think people sometimes jump to in their head. But yeah, I think that as a restaker, your job is to evaluate exactly what are the risks of any given AVS that an operator that you might restake to is running. These protocols, there should be no protocol that has any kind of slashing condition that is based on the total amount of security provided to that protocol. If that were the case, then we would get into trouble, but there's no reason you would ever want to place some kind of slashing condition on the total amount of stake at risk for the protocol. And so if one slashing condition occurs, the security decreases some amount, and we really don't expect any other slashing conditions to occur on the basis of that decrease in security.
I mean, Ethereum Foundation in general seems to just because they have to do it in such a safe way, they often go overboard. For example, the past half a year has been filled with research on what if all Ethereum gets staked. And everybody who has ever been on the operator side, guys, listen, you can have some edge cases, and then there are cases that are practically impossible. So that just feels like one of those, honestly. There are probably risks once you start looping it, and obviously people will loop it, right? Whatever other tools and projects that we might or might not have bags of, let's say, start doing those kind of stuff. That can happen, but it's not EigenLayer's core thing, right? It's like saying, oh, what if somebody buys and sells a lot of Ethereum at the same time? You're an infra, it's not your thing what you do.
No, but I do think we do a good level of risk modeling and analysis. We heavily advise and discuss with the EF a lot of the research that the research team is doing. Sriram, Robert, Shobik, our head of research, a number of ideas that they have in early stage development and R&D before it's even implemented. So those are ideas that they get consensus from the EF team from. A second thing is like there is a lot of risk modeling that's done that people don't see behind the scenes. So like one good example is like the attributable security that Teddy was referencing. In a concept like EigenCert that is being built right now for EigenDA or different ABSs that are underlying, a lot of thinking is done between how those signatures for EigenCert will be aggregated, and then how these are going to be posted to mainnet, and then what the signature verification cost is going to be for ABSs, and then how that will potentially be a risk for ABS consumers or the ABSs themselves. If let's say like Oracle ABSs like Chainlink that you mentioned prior in our conversation change to EigenCert, and what the general economic security of a DeFi application is with EigenCert and the Oracle on EigenLayer. So a lot of that risk modeling analysis and thinking goes on internally in discussions, and it's just something that we don't publish. We definitely want to publish more, but we do think about it, and like we also do heavily engage the EF because we love a lot of the work they're doing, and even though they're slow and like you're referencing, they do it with good reason. They do it because like there's so many applications that are built on top of them, protocols that are built on top of them, and so many other blockchains that look to them for their research practices. So I understand why they're slow.